Oh, Lucy, is it?
Yes.
Hello, my name's Cheshire, please. Look, it's Steph in 2 seconds.
She was a nurse, trusted to care, but who chose to kill. Arrested at her suburban home, Lucy Letby seemed an ordinary woman. But that's exactly what she used to cover the truth. That she is Britain's worst child serial killer and murdered babies as they desperately clung to life. After more than 100 hours, the jury reached their verdicts and the police spoke on behalf of all 17 families involved.
Today, justice has been served and a nurse who should have been caring for our babies has been found guilty of harming them. But this justice will not take away from the extreme hurt, anger and distress that we've all had to experience. We are heartbroken, devastated, angry and feel numb. We may never truly know why this happened.
She sought to deceive her colleagues and pass off the harm she caused as nothing more than a worsening of each baby's existing vulnerability. She perverted her learning and weaponised her craft to inflict harm, grief and death. Parents were exposed to her morbid curiosity and her fake compassion. Too many of them returned home to empty baby rooms.
And this was the ward where the sickest babies were treated and where Letby always wanted to work. She would message colleagues, frustrated if she was assigned to other rooms in the unit. And it's where she began her murderous campaign in June 2015. Over a year, she attacked 13 babies. She murdered 7 newborns by injecting air into their bloodstreams or stomachs, causing organ failure. The youngest was a day old. In other cases, Letby tried to kill babies by dislodging their breathing tubes. And in 2 attempts, she used insulin to poison 2 baby boys. One was named in court as Baby L, whose twin brother, known as Baby M, was also attacked. Letby caused his heart to stop by pumping air through his veins, something his parents, who can't be identified, say they'll never forget.
When I went down, I saw doctors around the trolley and they're just pumping his heart like a rag doll, really. He was just like a doll and they were just going like that, to the chest. They were prescribing medication and they were ready to give up after 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden, baby M just came back to life out of nowhere. And by the grace of God, he's okay today.
What has Lucy Letby taken from your family?
She took everything. Our joy, happiness.
I'm not the same person I was before.
As a neonatal nurse, Letby operated in plain sight, and it didn't go unnoticed. 4 consultants at the unit raised their concerns to hospital bosses when they realised every time a baby inexplicably collapsed or died, there was an explanation, that Letby was always on shift. But it wasn't until a year after her first attacks in July 2016 that hospital bosses removed her from her role and involved the police. She was arrested 2 years later. When officers searched her home, they found a post-it note where she wrote, "I'm evil. I did this," and a diary where she marked the date of her attacks with the initials of her victims, but Letby never admitted her guilt.
They told me that there had been a lot more deaths and that I'd been linked to somebody that was there for a lot of them.
Did you have any concerns that there was a rise in the mortality rate?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that. What concerns did you have?
I think we'd all just noticed as a team in general, the nursing staff, that this was a rise compared to previous years.
Letby never accepted responsibility for the deaths. Instead, she claimed she was being bullied by doctors on the unit, or that other colleagues' incompetence could have caused these babies to die. But the jury didn't believe her, and as each of the 14 guilty verdicts were read out, one mother sobbed from the public gallery, and other parents collapsed into each other's arms. The jury, though, were unable to reach a verdict on 6 counts, leaving some families with no answers. And today there are serious questions about how Letby was allowed to work at the Countess of Chester's neonatal unit for so long.
We are extremely sorry that these crimes were committed at our hospital. Our staff are devastated by what has happened, and we are committed to ensuring that lessons continue to be learned.
This was the one place parents should have felt their children were safe. But Lucy Letby preyed on the powerless and left babies screaming in their cots. She betrayed those who depended on her, and families may never understand why.
Well, this has been an emotional 10-month trial, one where Lucy Letby has largely remained calm throughout all court proceedings. But when the first guilty verdicts were read out, which has happened across several days, she broke down in tears and looked over at her mother, who was also sobbing in the courtroom. And when Letby left the dock, her mother said, "You can't be serious. This can't be right." Today, though, Letby wasn't here for the final verdicts, neither were her parents. We're told she refused to come out of her cell, and we're also told she won't be here for her sentencing on Monday. The end of a complicated trial, one that's largely involved circumstantial evidence, which has meant there's been very little forensic evidence directly linking Lucy Letby to these deaths. And it's also meant the jury have had to learn detailed, complex medical terms so they could understand how vulnerable these babies were and what could have caused their deaths, but ultimately to convict her.
All right, Sangeeta at Manchester Crown Court, thank you. Well, police are now investigating Letby's full career in the NHS. They are reviewing the cases of around 4,000 babies admitted to the 2 hospitals she worked at. One of those was Liverpool Women's Hospital, where we can speak to our North of England reporter, Kelly Foran. Kelly, when was she working at the hospital?
Well, Lucy Letby had 2 placements here. As we've heard, those murders and attempted murders happened at the Countess of Chester Hospital, but just about an hour away from there. Liverpool Women's have today released a statement to say that they too are cooperating with an ongoing police investigation to do with Lucy Letby's time here. Now, she was here twice. She had training placements between October and December 2012, and then she was here again between January and February 2015. Details of exactly what that investigation involves are scarce at the moment because it is ongoing, but the hospital here say that they are liaising with the police. They've told us that anyone relevant to this investigation is aware and that they have been supported throughout. So the hospital say they can't release any more specific details about it, but they say that Cheshire Police are expected to do so in due course.
Kelly, thank you.